So when we say use what you got, and right now we're talking about, oops, stepping in a hole. Let's start over. Well, I never thought I would actually say this, but it's time to pick those watermelons in November. Well, we're finally having our first real cold spell, so it is time to get anything that doesn't like cold weather off the vine. So we got some squash to pick, and we have some zucchini to pick. We got to get all of our peppers picked, and we especially have to pick these watermelon. That's just crazy. So now I have the opportunity to go ahead and clean out this asparagus bed and get all of these volunteer watermelons out. And we're going to take all of this green material and we are going to put it in our compost bin. So most of these green materials are generally rich in nitrogen. Each specific plant may have some other components to it, depending on what plant it is, but primarily it's the nitrogen that's the most important. And not only does it give a little bit of nitrogen to your compost as you make it, but it also helps kickstart the composting process when you start adding your brown material. Another thing that some of these greens add, depending on the plant, is they can add protein to your compost pile. But when the greens start breaking down, they actually generate heat, which heats up your compost pile and helps the beneficial bacteria that are used to help degrade your compost pile. And it will help that bacteria to multiply and to do its job better. So like when Mama Sita's telling me, do what you can with what you have where you're at, this is what she's talking about. We have all of this plant waste that instead of just throwing it in a trash bag, sitting it by the curb, or just leaving it laying somewhere, you can take this stuff, put it in your compost bin, and you can use it for a beneficial fertilizer or for growth media for your garden the next year. Now it's time to take care of another one of those things that needs to be picked before it gets too cold. We got to get all of these little Tabasco peppers off these plants and hopefully make us some kind of pepper sauce out of them. But if we wait too long, they're not going to make it. I also found this little Cherokee tan pumpkin that is not far from being ripe, and I'm going to try to cover it up and see if I might be able to save it, but I'm pretty sure the rest of the plant is probably going to die because of the cold, but we're going to try. And of course I'm going to check around and just make sure there's not some other ones that I can pick before the cold hits. Okay, now it's time to find all of the pepper plants that I want to save. And what you're going to have to do to save these is you're going to need to dig them up, be as gentle on the root ball as you possibly can, but you're going to find the first point where the branches split off, and about 1 inch to 2 inches above that point, you're going to cut the plant off there with a nice, smooth, angled, even cut, and then you're going to place it into a pot with some other soil that if you need to add some soil to it. They will need a little bit of water when they're indoors. Not a lot of light, but primarily you just want to get them overwintered so that you can plant them early next spring so they'll have an opportunity to grow larger and grow more peppers. This one grew thick enough we had to get the big cutters out for it. And make sure that after you cut it, you check it for peppers. Make sure you don't miss any. It's going to be basically the same for each type of pepper. You're basically going to cut it in the same place, 1 inch or 2 inches above that first V, and just replant it and keep them warm for next year. Okay, now we're getting down to these leaves. These leaves are what we call the brown materials for our compost piles. They are a carbon-rich material, a carbohydrate-rich material, and they generally act as a food source for all those microorganisms that help break down that compost pile into what you basically want for your garden. So this brown material is going to be the bulk of your compost, so it'd probably be a really good idea to rake up as much leaf material as you can, because that's really kind of the easiest source. One thing you could do is you could go over to your neighbor and say, hey, can I rake your yard for you? They get a free leaf raking job and you get free compost material. Another thing you could do is find out if it's okay to go rake leaves at your local city park. You might be able to find even maybe some pine needle mulch or different things like that that you could collect. Just remember, whichever way you decide to collect material for your compost pile, really you just kind of have to ask and go get it. Most of it's going to be free. Okay, well there you have it. I just cleaned up this little area right here. That one bed, that walkway, the walkway down through there. It got me a nice thick pile of leaves. Got me a nice thick pile of watermelon greens or melon greens. Got me a nice thick pile of asparagus greens. And this is all going to go in the compost bin. That's kind of cool. So free compost. Just take the time to get out there, and when everything starts falling off the trees and start raking it up, take that old garden stuff and put it in the compost bin, and there you go. You'll notice as I'm turning this older pile that there are also some kitchen scraps and some eggshells that are in here that are also really good for composting. And some of the wood chips that we'd collected earlier this year had already started decomposing, so we're taking some of that material and throwing it down here in the bottom of the compost bins to continue to break down. I will tell you this, the earthworms love this stuff. But it does take a little longer to break down, so that's why we're putting it on the bottom. I put some cardboard behind some of these to help hold the material in, but cardboard is another thing that's really good to put into compost. You just want to make sure that you don't have a lot of glues or a lot of inks or anything like that. So when we say use what you got, you saw we already got some stuff in the compost bin. We've got some morning glories that are pretty much died off. Got leaves, still more leaves. Now, I already raked this area once. The garden is full of leaves that you can use all throughout there. Leaves all over the yard. The thing is, we still have leaves on the trees, and they're starting to turn and fall now that it's been cold for a few days. But think about all of that on the ground. You've got all of this leaf material that can be turned into your browns for your compost bin. And then you have this, which is funny because I actually still have squash growing even though the leaves are like dying from the cold. But out of all of this stuff that's dying off, this is all green material, even though it doesn't look super green right now. But this is all green material that can go in your compost too. So the bottom line is what you're trying to do is you're trying to take all that material that you'd have left over from the garden and you're wanting to put that into your compost bins so that you can have compost for next year. We're still doing stuff where we clean out the goat pen every once in a while, and let me show you something else that you can add to it too. Just a second. Okay, so another thing you can add to it, to that compost bin, is clean out your chicken coop. All of that wood chips and pine shavings or whatever you have in there, that can be put in there too. And if you'll notice, there's feathers in here. Those feathers are from the chickens molting. You can put all that in there too. You can put it all in the compost bin. It'll all add something to that compost. The chicken litter from in here will add a lot of nitrogen, but it does need to compost. It's not like the rabbit poop. Rabbit poop you can use pretty much immediately in your garden. Chicken manure has got to compost before you can use it. Also, any old hay or anything on the ground that you have, maybe old bedding in your barn, take that stuff and stick it in your compost bin too. So what you're trying to do is you want to make sure that you're taking all of the available material that you have that you can put in the compost bin, not counting your goats. They don't go in the compost bin. Do you? Do you go in the compost bin? Leave me alone. But like we always say, is do what you can with what you have where you're at. And this is just a lot of great stuff that you can make compost with for your garden. Your garden will love you for it. She agrees. See, listen to her. She's telling you right now. She's saying, listen to me. Compost is the way to go. Man, y'all are grouchy. Gracious. Why can't y'all be nice? So this is where I have all of my peppers sitting in one of my tropicals. And I did pull a full habanero plant because those were just starting to get ripe. And I like habaneros, so I'm gonna stick it under a grow light. But man, just bring those things inside, moderate light, moderate water. There you go. Okay, y'all, I think I have effectively snuck out here without all of the goats knowing I'm over here. They're kind of right back there behind me, right inside the garage there on the other side of the fence. And they're getting hungry, so you may hear them start squealing here in a second, wanting me to, yeah, there goes one, that's Daisy. She knows I'm out here. But I just wanted to show you my compost bin. We haven't started filling all that up with the other stuff yet that I've been showing you on the video. I do have some wood chips. Some of it has kind of already started composting down, so we're gonna throw some more of that in there. That stuff does take longer to break down, but it really attracts a lot of earthworms for some reason, that stuff that we got there. I could flip that over and there'd be tons of earthworms on the bottom of it. So I might go fishing, I don't know. But anyway, I just wanted to encourage y'all. Y'all get out there, rake those leaves, rake pine needles, you know, pull all that garden material and put it in that compost bin. And let's get that compost fixed up for next spring because your plants will love you for it. They will love you for it. So if anything, thanks again for watching the Everyday Wonder Homestead channel. And we hope we continue to be an encouragement to y'all to live this farm-to-table type lifestyle, to live this homestead lifestyle, to live this lifestyle of getting good, fresh, clean food that just, you know, not only is it good for you, but man, it tastes good too. So once again, if we can just encourage y'all, and if there's you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. And if you can, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, share us on social media. We're still learning, we're still trying to grow in this channel, and we just really want to get involved, and we really want to learn with you. So anything we can do to help, we will try our best. So love you guys. Thank you so very much for watching, and we will see y'all on the next video.